Good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for the show.
I,
Glad to have you on for the first time.
I thank you
Um,
very much.
yes, thank you, thank you. So everybody knows who I am,
Right.
but Paranormal World, we want to know who Bryan is.
Brian, I
Yes.
come from a planet far, far away, Sharon. No, it's really funny. You had both my partner on podcasting, Ron Murphy, on, and my other partner for investigations, Al Santoriga. So I'm now in the mix. Now I'm
Oh
a
my gosh, I've
brewer.
completed the trio.
You did. It's the triangle. Yeah, hopefully, it's not a
All
triangle of
three of
death.
you should wait, all three of you should come on.
Um, I know Al will do one with me, but I don't know if he's going to do more than that.
Oh,
Ron will go on with anybody. So
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Ron, but but yeah, no, I've been doing paranormal for about 45 plus years, ever since I was a little kid. Hello, hi, how are you?
Indonesia. She's from Indonesia.
Oh, blessings to you.
Yes.
Um,
Go ahead. So
and yeah,
the
no,
paranormal since a little kid, as it was it just did it start out with one certain thing, or and then
it's
you just kind of just evolved from there.
so it started out with an interest in science and planets and aliens and crazy creatures. Leonard Nimoy, who hosted In Search of, or I caught the show called The Night Stalker with Carl Kochak, the reporter with the crappy camera that always just, you know, got himself hooked with either a vampire or a zombie or whatever. So it was always cool.
Yeah.
But I always love science, and I'm born and raised in New York City, and you kind of can't see the stars that much there. You see what you see, but it's nothing special. But thankfully, my mother being a teacher, they teach for July and August, and she worked as the head counselor at a summer camp in Western Connecticut. So it was a sleepaway camp. So I got to go and enjoy my summers off there.
Mm.
I'm basically
And Connecticut's real UFO-y biggie, isn't it? Isn't Connecticut one of the states that pulls in a lot of
well, Connecticut does have a ton of UFOs. Actually, in the town that I was in, I have a friend who's a researcher there. Was born and raised there, and he researches Bigfoot for the most part. But I have another friend down the road. His name's Mark D'Antonio. He's the main guy for MUFON, and he does a lot of research. I've actually seen things in that town. I'll talk about them if you want. But summer camp, getting out and actually seeing what the stars are like. I would see him every once in a while if I go down Christmas to Neptune, New Jersey.
yes.
No pun intended. My aunt lived down there, so
Listen, it was meant to be.
yeah, no, I'm sure it was, but yeah, I just love science. I love space. I love Voyager. I love planetariums. I don't know. I've talked to other people in this field, and we basically have said something similar. Like I've always looked up and said I belong there. Not to say that I was crazy. I just felt this drawing to not this planet. And it's always good. I love you have a
so given the chance you would go to space.
Initially, yes, maybe not now. I don't think I necessarily want to go to space at this point. We live on a freak fest right now called Earth, so I'll just hang in there. Yes. Oh, and I love the fact your fans are awesome.
Oh, they are. They
Do
are
you have like, are they like brewers, or are they, I don't know. You don't have like a nickname yet, like
brewskis.
a brewskis. Brewskis are good, but I don't think we're talking about
They're
that.
my brewskis.
Brewskis, it's awesome. I always love watching people and their show. I've watched your show many times, and I just love the fact that you have a great audience and fans that are, very supportive of what you do.
They really
And
are. I love them
yeah,
all so much.
so
Really.
there it is, Brewskis.
Yeah.
So that started off where I was. I was always looking into science and planets. I mean, this is when, in the late '70s, Voyager went out, and that was the first deep space probe going out. And it had that record on there created by Sagan, which was a vocal recording in binary and all this stuff. This is who we are, where we're located from the planet. And from there, I've always wanted to see a UFO. Sometimes when you really want something, so you don't really see it. But
Right.
up in that summer camp, there was one time when I was probably, I'm going to say, anywhere from 77 to 79. I don't remember, at this point. But a whole bunch of us were outside, and we saw what, you had the moon, which is a full moon right now,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use my lifesavers as a full moon, right?
Awesome.
and then out of nowhere, there was this fireball in the opposite direction, about this a little bit smaller, and it was shooting. We're all looking at, what is that?
Right.
And it wasn't a comet, because I knew what comets are. I knew comets, what they to be. And most of the time when you see comet or asteroid, asteroid, it's not like on fire. This thing was on fire. I did a painting of it at one point. It was weird because it almost had, like, on the inside of the disc, were like, it looked like little suction cups, and they kind of like looked like they were undulating. I remember that much.
Wow,
but
that's cool.
It was really, really cool. But the weird part is that we just went back in the bunk, and we were like, nothing ever happened. I mean,
That's
maybe
weird.
it's like, did you see that? Yeah, that was pretty cool. Okay, let's do this now. I mean, I don't know if it was because we were just kids or what have you, but
Right.
So that was interesting. And I believe it was that year, the same year I saw the UFO, I had my first ever encounter with Bigfoot.
Wow.
Over there. Yeah. And it's interesting. I do have a photographic memory. I have an autographic memory too, when I choose to use it. And my other half will say I never use it. But I do. And I hear everything, and it's not to be nosy. I just, sometimes you just have to pick what you want to go into. But I didn't recall this as much, or I didn't put any emphasis on it, because going back to Leonard Nimoy in the 70s, everything that anybody ever discussed about Bigfoot or a cryptid took place in the Pacific Northwest. That's where the Patterson-Gibson film was. Mm-hmm. That's where Bigfoot, as far as I was concerned, that's the area they went to. I'd rather go there than out of space. Let's go look for Bigfoot, like we could find him. And I wasn't aware of how worldwide this cryptid is, this entity, this being is, which it is. It's huge. But I'll give you what happened. We lived in a long bunk. It looked like a ranch, but a long, like, I'm going to say, like, it was like two bunks put together, and it was one long bunk. And when you got into the bunk in the middle of the bunk, you went in, there was a bed there, and there was a bed, cubby, double deckers. It was packed. And I happened to be all the way over to the left when you walk in the corner. And for the majority of my bed, it was hidden behind the wall outside the bunk on the side, except by my feet. A portion of it was, you had a 3-foot by 3-foot window there. Yeah. And some of it was visible through the bed at the end of the bed, and some of it was hidden behind a cubby next to it. So one night, it must have been 2 or 3 in the morning, because when our counselors would come back from town, if you weren't working that night watching the kids till midnight, you'd go out to town, you eat food, you drink beer, you come back. But when the lights go out in the bunk in the back room, because you can see the rafters, it usually means all the couches are in and they want to go to sleep without the light. So I woke up and I remember waking up and I smelled this horrible skunky smell. It was terrible. It was really pungent. And I said, I have to go to the bathroom. So I guess, what am I, anywhere from 8 to 9 years old, or whatever it was. So I wake up and I go to sit up in my bed and I see something in the window, like a shadow. And it's doing one of these, like that. It's looking. And I stop for a split second. I'm like, okay, maybe it's a counselor or whatever. Then I kind of like lean in a little bit more and I could peek at it. And it's all in shadow of the night. It's in dark. But you can clearly see this face that was filling up a 3-foot window. The whole head.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. It was as close as you can get to a window. Very pressed. I mean, like, I'm trying to do it with my face, but it's like this. It's big. And it looked like a giant gorilla or a monkey. Okay. And I'm like, what the heck is that? Like, is that somebody in a costume or something? And I just felt unnerved. And you can see, it's really weird. You can see the brow and the ridge of the brow area. And then it's just kind of fades, but it was a big head. You could see the nose and some of the lips. And it was like, it was black.
I would have shit my pants.
Well, I'll tell you what, where I was very,
I would have probably had a heart attack and died.
I was very unnerved, to the point where I didn't want to move. So I was too afraid to move. Now, where my feet were in relationship to the glass of this window, I kid you not, I was no more than probably 8 inches from the window, my foot. Okay. Something that big in my mind. And I'm looking at this. If its head is that big, it could just go right through the window, grab my leg and pull my, butt right out without even thinking about it. Yeah. So I froze and I could feel my heart beating and I still smelt the smell. And I'm going ballistic, like I have to go to the bathroom, but I don't want to die, whatever. So about an hour goes by and it's funny. You can actually see the digital clock. So I knew it was about an hour.
Wow.
I couldn't hold anything anymore. So I was either going to pee on the kid below me through my bed, which I just didn't want that kind of ridicule in my life, or go to the bathroom. So I slid my legs back really, really slow. And then I got it so that I was in like a fetal position, and I slowly moved my body and slid all the way down to the ground. And what I did was I did that, military crawl underneath bunks. The problem is where I had to go was a door to the outside right there. So I had to make that move between the door and the next bed as quick as possible without making noise. So I did it. And then I went all the way to the end of the bunk, peeked up, looked. I didn't see anything in the window. I went to the bathroom, and there's windows by the bathrooms in the back. And I was very, very quiet. And then I crawled my way back in, and that was that. It wasn't until I was talking to one of your guests, who I talk to often, Al Sanriga, that I remembered this. Because, again, like I said, Bigfoot wasn't in the Pacific. It was just Pacific Northwest, not here. And so I'm trying to figure this out, and I start thinking about it, and then I go back and I do the quick search, and I search in the area of where my camp is. Now I want to let you in something. So way back when, the camp property, northwestern Connecticut, butts up against a lake, which is a reservoir. It's a huge lake, miles. Okay. And we're never allowed to go there, but it's it's perfect. Like this is where you want to send your kids to sleepaway camp. The name of that lake that butts up against us, no more than 100 yards away from, the camp, is Crystal Lake. Does it sound familiar to you?
Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, well, the people that were filming Friday the 13th wanted to film in my camp. I remember them coming up that summer. And the owner foolishly said no because they didn't want the bad publicity. So, right. So, yeah, I literally that was the camp. I would have done it. I would have had whatever, because there's no such thing as bad publicity. So they went a little bit down the road to Kent, Connecticut instead to film it. But it just so happened. So I started looking, and when I did the search, the same year I was in that bunk, and I can't remember if it was 78, 79, or 77, one of those years, was I searched for Bigfoot sightings in that area. And that same summer, there were 2 bipedal cryptids, Bigfoots, seen by passenger bys in cars that drove past that reservoir. They saw them, 2 of them standing outside. Both been reported. I think it's on BFRO. Also, in the back of the camp, if you keep going for a couple of acres or miles, there's another back road, and it goes up by a dam. That's the Lover's Lane. So that area, there was one sighting of a Bigfoot the same summer. 2 kids making out in the car said they saw a 9-foot tall monkey or wild man walk in front of their car, scared the crap out of them. They got out of there and they reported it. So that was my first experience with the cryptid, for the most part. And now I know, being in this, I don't know if it's a business, but being a research investigator, boots on the ground, Bigfoot's everywhere. And there's a lot of them in our neck of the woods. Well, yeah.
And okay, wait. And where's your neck of the woods?
Well, originally it was New York City, tri-state area. Now it goes from they're all over the country.
Not New Jersey.
Yes, there are tons of Bigfoot in New Jersey. Actually, northern New Jersey. Yes.
Who wants to be in New Jersey?
Apparently, Bigfoot and the Jersey Devil. Yeah, you have actually a. I'm gonna.
Well, you got one right.
Right, plethora.
Here I am. All right, go ahead.
Yes,
I digress.
No, not a problem. So there is a plethora of Bigfoot in the area. We did an investigation probably about 6-7 years ago, northern New Jersey, where we came up, and I forgot the name of the lake, and I apologize, but we were sent there by a third party to investigate. The person we were supposed to investigate with didn't want to speak to us at that point. They wanted to speak to the person they called. We tried to get them in, but they said basically it was by this preserve that you have in northern New Jersey. And we went there. Al and I went down there, and I mean, we found a habitat that's consistent with what these creatures need. It's a lot of privacy over there. I mean, New Jersey is really only populated in like select areas. There's a lot more wildlife area around, these areas.
Well, the pine barrens are huge.
Pine barrens are exhaustive.
Massive.
I mean, yeah, I've been there. I know we were supposed to do a trip at one point, and I actually been there prior to filming for a show there with Cliff Simon. I've investigated the pine barrens, and it's just, you can get lost. It's a very, very peculiar place. Yeah.
That is one of the things that scares me. Everybody was like, oh, the Blair Witch is stupid because it's fake. Well, listen, that's a scary movie to me.
Yeah. Well,
getting lost in the woods, lose a bit. No. And then you got the wrong turn people that might live out there, and you don't want any parts of that either.
Yeah. I mean, it's the problem is when you go into the woods, everybody thinks, oh, there's nothing going to happen to you. It's just the woods, right? You don't know what was been in the woods. You don't know what lives in the woods. You don't know what resides in the woods. And especially, you don't know what ceremonies people have been doing in the woods.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yep. I mean, there's certain things that unnerve, my other half is unnerved every time we stop at a rest stop. Because we saw the movie where I don't know what the hell it was called, but where the wife gets kidnapped from the rest stop.
Oh, with Jared or Gerard Butler.
I don't know if it's Gerard Butler. I want to say Keith or Sutherland for some reason, but it's one of them.
Listen, any movie that's how I base my life. I'm like movies. I'm like, I see this is a movie waiting to happen, right? I mean, the only woods that I'm not afraid to go in are the woods in Gettysburg. I will walk anytime, any day. For some reason, I'm not afraid of the woods there.
Well, you're not alone in Gettysburg.
Never.
Never alone in Gettysburg.
Never alone in
Ever.
Gettysburg. Even when you think you're alone, you're not
You're
alone.
never alone at all. But yeah, no, I've been in some of the woods there too. We went down a couple of 2 years ago, and I went to that Gettysburg Bash, which is amazing. Steve and Pam do a great job, and everybody else there.
Yeah, they're amazing.
It's such an amazing good cause, and I'll tell you, everybody you meet there is going to be like family to you, 100%. There's not a bad person there. It's awesome. It's family friendly. Bring the kids and just enjoy it
during the day.
During the day.
Nighttime, it gets a little,
I'll tell you, it's I think all the people converging on Gettysburg to witness the history and go through the whole process and do I think that continues to put the energy back into what took place there. And it just absolutely. I think the soldiers and the innocent people that were, I think I don't know if they would enjoy it, but they need that recognition because it's such an important event. Yeah.
The honor. That's what I believe that they're there for. I mean, a lot of people pick up on the bad stuff there, and I do not. I pick up on that they love being honored the way they continue to be honored. Millions of people come from all over the world to see Gettysburg and to, pay respects and go through the park and see all that. And I honestly think that all of that energy keeps them there because they love that honor.
Yeah, I mean, I did go out one night of the bash. I'm a night owl. I just can't find that. My brain starts working too much and then I can't sleep. So why bother my entire family? So I went out and I drove. Got the name of the bridge area, but there's this one spot it's a public road you can go through. It's near one of the fields. And I swear I saw what looked like an upright canid walking around in the dark. It just had that look. It had the pointy ears, like what they call a dogman or a werewolf.
Wow.
I didn't have, I wasn't. My phone that I use is just a regular old iPhone or whatever. It's not good in low light. And I didn't know I didn't know if I was on federal property where I shouldn't have been there. I just didn't want to get in trouble, so I didn't make a big to-do out of it. But I definitely saw something big walking through the woods. Now, knowing it's Gettysburg, it could have been a regiment of soldiers that I just.
Oh yeah, sure. So I mean, that's like when just at Hinsdale, and I'm sure everybody that's watched my show since we've been there has probably heard this story. But I'll make it short. I saw something in a distance, but it was taller. Wasn't 8 feet, 9 feet tall. It was more like buck tall, if you know, the eyes. And when I had my flashlight first, I saw the eyes with the flashlight, and I said, "What the fuck is that? That's pretty big." And I put the flare up like this, and as I put the flare up, it turned and it had this big round body, and I said, "That's a bear." And I jumped up, but cheeks clenched, and I was like, "That." And I looked again. I go, "That's a bear." I took the flashlight and I saw it like walking towards us like this because the eyes were going like this.
Right.
Within 20 seconds, I was in the house. I left all my equipment out there. I even left Megan, and there was 2 other pizzas out there. Left them out there. I was telling them, but they chose not to come. They chose not to follow.
Bear, let's go.
So I said, that is a bear, and it's coming right for us. I was like, I'm in. But that was the most scared I've ever been anywhere. That is the most scared I've ever been.
I mean, it's when you're going into the woods, even if you want to, or you're doing investigations like this, I highly recommend that you protect yourself in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Now, bear spray is available at Walmart, so you can get it, or Dick's, or some others. They'll sell it to you, and it's good to have it on you.
It's a repellent.
It's a repellent. It goes about 30 to 60 feet. It's like hot, pepper.
I don't want to hurt them.
No, you're not going to hurt them. You're just going to drive them away.
Oh, okay.
They
You
don't want
like
to.
spray it on the ground.
No, you spray it at them and then they back away because it's
Sure.
pepper. They run away to clear out their eyes, and
Yeah.
an hour later they're fine. I mean, it's if it's I mean, I had a friend who went out in Yellowstone. He's just taking pictures, and a baby grizzly came up to him and tried to attack him. I mean, he hit him with his tripod, whatever he can. He didn't have bear spray on him. Bears are not a joke. It's
Fuck
I
no.
understand the whole animal thing, and I'm not advocating.
No. Yeah, no. But yeah, I mean, like if it came down to it, obviously I would want to save my life.
So.
And I would spray the shit out of it. You know what I mean? Because I'd want to save
you just spray it just so you can you drive it off and you can move. But I also think that you don't know what you're going to come up against. You may want to have a little pocket knife or survival knife. You definitely want to go out with more than one person.
Yeah.
And if you're having a bad day, I highly recommend you don't go out.
Yeah.
Because there are things you're going to come across that know that you're having a bad day, and then you get into a jumping situation where the spirits will actually try to attach themselves to you and go home with you. And that's happened numerous times. So one way to protect yourself is, you can keep different crystals on you. And you probably talked about that a few times. I love salt packets.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever go to a restaurant or any place, I mean, there's a place, Chick-fil-A. I'm just using them as an example.
Right.
Because I actually eat there and it's a good place. They have the little salt packets. Always grab a handful. Salt is always a protectant for everything. If you're going to go talk to your boss, put a little salt in your pocket. You're going to put them in your car. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Put them in your car. You can say, salt's been used to cleanse and protect homes for millennia. I mean, if you're a fan of Supernatural, they use salt on everything.
Right.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
So you can put that in there, but also some people aren't believers in God or whatever your God may be. But I highly recommend that if you are a believer, say a prayer of protection around you. When we go out, Al and I, every time we go out, each one of us, contributes at least one or two prayers. We sage all our stuff. We literally light sage, say our person, our property, our equipment. And, and then Al will, he'll bust out the holy water and spray you with it, or he'll take out the holy oil. And every time, thank you. Every time, I know these people. The best part is, because Al and I are just like, we're brothers, but every time he just puts he'll go the blood of Christ or whatever, and he'll anoint me with the oil, and I just start screaming, it burns, and he's like, could you stop for once? That's Al. But it does protect you when you're going into the woods. So just wanted to say that.
All I got to say is that it's up for debate by my counterparts that were out that I left outside. What I actually saw, because they said it was not a bear, even though it was. I don't even. And when I looked at it the second time, it literally went like deep into my soul and came back out, and I was like, "Oh no!" Like when you're 5 years old and you're running up your basement steps and you're running so fast because you think something's right behind you.
Yep.
Times that by 5 million, and literally thinking I'm not going to make it to. I'm not going to be able to run 4 steps into the back door.
Well,
so scared.
No. I think we've all kind of felt that if we can move quickly into the entrance and get to where we got to go, it'll be better. Your mind may not have been playing tricks on you. It very well could have been a bear.
I was so scared.
It could have been something pretending to be a bear just to get you to go away. But if you're that. I know people love this stuff, and I love, they love going out and the scary places and getting haunted and all that other stuff. Wasn't a bear. Okay, Megan.
Megan was there. She was one that I pushed out of the way to get into the house. I love you. You should have just followed me.
Sorry for leaving you behind, Megan. I've been on investigations where one person seeing something and we're clearly not.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily, and I'm not trying to get into a war or anything between you and Megan, or
Oh, no, no,
joking,
no. It's all
joking.
I believe it's all about perception. It's all how you perceive something, for sure.
Sometimes people are enlightened by a specter that other people aren't, because they may not be. Sometimes it's better with fresh eyes, or a little more reverence for a subject or something, than the guys that are out there like the ghost hunter guys. You guys are bad. I'm gonna try to make something out of it.
Yeah, that was the other weird thing. We we knew what we had night vision goggles, we had a FLIR,
Right.
and we had flashlights. So when we first went outside, there was a cat in the woods, and we looked at it through the night vision goggles, we looked at it through the FLIR, so we knew what it would look like to see an animal on both.
Right.
My main reason for having that stuff was because it's dark as shit, and there's woods all
Yeah.
around you, and you can't see nothing, but you can hear stuff. So I said, I'm gonna feel better if I can see that there's nothing around us. You know what I mean? I'll feel better. It wasn't necessarily for like ghosts. You know what I mean? It wasn't to try to see that. It was to see if something, an animal or a person was coming up. And they said, like I said, all my equipment flew on the ground. So the IR was out there, the night vision goggles. They couldn't see it on one of them, right? So she said it wasn't coming up on the IR. So
Right.
they couldn't see, even though the cat did. Whatever I saw, but then it wasn't coming up. She said it started to come closer and it got kind of wispy, and they tried to look at it through to see what it was, but they couldn't tell.
Because I mean, when you're dealing with specters, ghosts, it's not only human beings that yeah, Tom is Al's on right now, and so he's doing double duty. But animals do become spirits, and they become residual spirits, as well as I call the active passive. My dog, who I love to death, he comes back a lot. I've asked him to after he passed away. Or my oldest daughter, she was about 4 when he died. I had to put him down. He had kidney
Aw,
failure.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's. I mean, he became my guardian angel. But I asked him. I said, come back, watch your sister. And he was our first kid. And I remember the next day after I asked him to watch my daughter, his sister. She's asleep with the door open, and she came out, and she had these she looked like Boo from Monsters Inc. My daughter, she had I swear, everybody's like, oh my god, that's Boo. And she had these big eyes, and they were filled with water, and she said, no more Jakey in my bed, no more Jakey kiss me. Now, one, the dog is never allowed in her room to begin with, without me or my wife there, but especially on the beds, not allowed on the beds for her. I said, Jakey was in your room. Yeah, no more Jakey. I said, okay, I won't have Jakey go in your room and kiss you. Okay. I went to her bed. Okay. And when he died, we cleaned the entire place. I mean, everything,
Yeah.
top to bottom. Her bed had hair. I literally wiped my hand through it.
Aww,
And I had his hair in my hands.
that's awesome.
So yeah, it was really cool. I mean, scared the hell out of her. But I said to him, I said, Jake, just she's a little scared. Don't just stay on the outside or whatever.
Yeah.
And they still see him today. I mean, I moved to a new place. I'm actually moved from New York to Florida, but I will be up in the New York metro area, come May, because I'm doing a lot of investigations up there as well with Big Al Santariga. We're doing some stuff, hopefully filming some stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing some stuff down here in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be looking for the swamp ape, which is Bigfoot, Florida.
Okay, that reminds me. Remember Swamp Thing?
Yeah. Well, here's the difference, right? So up in upstate New York, even in New Jersey, you have copperheads, you've got water moccasins, you got even rattlesnakes. in certain areas. You could die from that stuff. I mean, it's not a joke, but you kind of, where things are and what things to do. Down here in Florida, everything can kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really freaky down here. Even the people, it's just, I mean, spiders, frogs, alligators. There's different types of snakes. Then there's the pythons that, 17-foot python, 25-foot. I mean, that could take me, wrap me up in a little, and just whatever.
I
There
know.
I
I
am.
love them.
Yeah,
I would
well,
be that stupid, like, oh, come here,
no,
oh
I
yeah,
don't
I
think
know.
so. They're dangerous. I mean, I across the way from my house, on the other side of this little canal we live on. The people next door, they have this one kind of like evergreen tree, that has a branch here. It's not a full evergreen. It's not like your full Christmas tree. It has like these different branches that are exposed and some leaves. And one of the branches is a good 6 to 7 feet long before it gets to the trees. There is some kind of lizard, call him Godzilla, because he makes up most of that branch. It is ginormous.
Wow.
And it's like, so, and you have no idea what you're investigating when you go down in Florida.
That's true.
But I'm going with somebody who's born and raised there. And they, I told him, I said, I just need snake boots. I'll get my equipment together. And he's got a couple of good spots. So hopefully we get some good casts from that. I've investigated so many places: Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, all these places.
It's good that you are saying this stuff though, because a lot of people that, like, for me, I've never investigated in Florida. I wouldn't know to wear snake boots. You know what I mean? Like, people don't know. They say you just go anywhere and just investigate and you're fine. Like,
right.
And you have to be aware of your difference. Like, you can't go from New Jersey to Arizona out in the desert and investigate like you would.
People do.
I know, but there's things you need to do to.
Well, I mean, like,
be safe.
The thought of being bitten by some poisonous or venomous snake is not appealing to me. They have rattlesnakes down here. And the Eastern Diamondback it's no joke. Besides the copperhead's no joke, the cottonmouth. I mean, when you're born and raised with this stuff and you're messing with it growing up, you know what to look for. But 9 out of 10 times, and we've had a case. I've gone into the woods on an investigation, and someone was just about to step on a copperhead.
Yeah.
And I stopped them. I said, "Don't move," and everybody had to freeze. And I said, "Slowly back away."
I would have run.
Yeah, they're too quick for you to run.
I would have ran.
But we have a snake bite kit like that's going to do anything. But some of these investigations were 2, 3, 10 miles in, and that's the difference between those people that tell you stories about investigations and people that actually are boots on the ground.
Yeah,
like myself and Al are, and but.
So I like, we have a couple of things in common, which I didn't know. Like, for me, I am in love with the solar system. Anything that has to do with outer space, like lunar eclipses, solar eclipses, meteor showers, all that cool stuff. And I have spent hours and hours and hours staring at the night sky. One, I'll never go up there. Too scary. Well, I watched 2 movies, and all I see is me floating off into the abyss, and just dying in space. And I don't want to do that. So I love it. Like, there's a place in Pennsylvania that's supposed to be the darkest spot, and you actually can camp there. You can pay to camp there. I think it's called Spring something. I can't remember the actual name of it, but you go there when there's meteor showers, like Perseids shower or Gemini's or something. You can camp out and watch this stuff because it's the darkest spot in PA. So there's no ambient light.
Yep.
But I have yet to experience any UFO things. And I'm not saying like it doesn't exist, and I'm not saying that people that believe that are crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's that I have yet to, because you brought up an interesting point. Like when somebody wants something so bad, it kind of repels it, right? And
I think so. It's like waiting for the phone to ring, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely, it's crazy. And like, you know, and then I think like, do I really, really, really want to see something like that? I, and I remember I was at work one time. I've been, you know, in the medical field my whole life. And I'm standing there with one of the doctors and we're just standing outside. It was nighttime and we were facing each other and he goes, "Holy shit, did you just see that?" I'm like, "Did I just see what?" I'm looking at you. He's like, "There was something in the sky." He's like, "It wasn't a meteor." He's like, "I know what they look like. Something just went flying across the sky." And it was this
Yeah.
white ball. And I was like, really? Of all people that like could give a shit less? And I don't get to see it. But like I haven't seen anything, not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm just saying. Now,
No,
question:
they,
what do you think? Honestly, what do you think about flat earthers?
I think they're crazy.
Okay, that's
I'm
good.
sorry. I'm going to be
Oh, I
honest with
agree. I
you.
agree. I don't. I
But
actually
here's the
want.
thing, right? All the planets we see, every one of them, even the moon, is a sphere, except for the Earth.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
How
First of all,
many?
the Earth isn't round. It's like an egg shape, and it's boulders on the side because of gravity.
Right, but it's not flat. And
No.
I actually wanted a flat earther to come on just because I want to know the inner workings of the brain, why they
Oh,
believe this, because they are so neurotic about, like, they believe it.
I have a friend who's a pilot who swears that the Earth is really flat because of the curvature of the Earth and the they get into a lot of different explanations, and the reason why you're seeing the curvature is because they're using a curved lens. It's not a true lens. And why can you see XYZ if we're in they were talking about someone was in Arizona and they saw the ocean. Apparently they said um because I mean mathematics actually takes it, after a certain point, you think it's just a circle, right? Again, here
Right.
we go with my lifesavers.
But I like the different colors. I don't even
But
think you
yeah,
realize
if you zoom in on that edge,
right. It's not
you
perfect.
know, it's well, not only is it not perfect, but at certain points it's like it's flat. It's not really arced. It's more of a flat, 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 flat. But it's so minuscule that it does look like it's an arc. And what you don't understand is the closer you move into it, the bigger, the longer that flat portion is going to be. It's all in geometry. If you take any type of geometry class, you'll
Right.
understand it.
Right.
So what they're saying, I mean, some of it's very interesting. The new thing now, probably almost got arrested. In Florida, these two kids are working in a supermarket. We're talking to their professor or their teacher, and the teacher said that gravity doesn't exist.
How do you say that? Like, how do you say that?
He said what it is it's the weight of the Earth in relationship to the spatial. I mean, I forgot exactly what it was, and I was like, "Excuse me, I don't mean to butt in, but what did he say?" And he said, "There's no such thing as gravity." And I said, "Do yourself a favor, withdraw from the school, and then sue them because they're screwing you on an education."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What?
That's a new theory now. Yeah,
There's
it's
no
a new
such thing as
theory.
gravity?
There's no gravity. Gravity doesn't exist.
We just want to erase everything off the face of the earth, don't we? Except us.
No, everybody wants to think that they're important and relative to what's going on. And I get it. Life is very mundane. It's boring for a lot of people. Um, I do what I do with research wise with UFOs, Bigfoot, water monsters, you name it. I don't mess with demons. I don't go devil or demons. It's above my pay grade. But I have questions, and I've always had questions. Why are you here? What are you doing here? What's the purpose of this? Where do these things come from?
Have you ever thought that it's all the same thing, but it's just how you and I are perceiving it differently?
No. I thought, well, that was one of my hypotheses at one point, but it's not what I was able to, throughout all these years of doing what I'm doing, I discovered that there's a universal connector or a Rosetta Stone for the entire paranormal field.
Right.
And the problem I have is I don't physically have a Bigfoot or a werewolf or a Mothman or whatever, or a UFO, where I can do some experiments on these things to prove what I'm saying. But I've noticed it's sound, frequency, vibration, and resonance. That is the commonality in between all these different fields. And when you understand that the sound and the vibration take you to a different vibrating level, some people say, hey, we vibe, we vibe better. Oh, we just get along, or that frequency's too high, or what you're not understanding is once you start vibrating and rising above where you have to go. I know that, lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of my peaches.
Yep, I know. I was going to say the peaches, but I don't want to, go through the brewskis and get in trouble with the peaches or peaches and the
Hey, the
brewskis.
peaches and the brewskis all mingle.
Okay, cool. So that's good. Yeah, and happy birthday to your son, by the way. Um, and what happens is when you start vibrating, you start seeing things in a better light, and you get to enlightenment and more knowledge about what things are and how they're connected and how this afterlife is at a higher level. You're at a higher plane. So what I did was I came up with a protocol called Active Intelligence Encounter, AIEs. And what we do is, and this is going to help you see your UFO if you want,
Oh, cool.
or your Bigfoot, or your ghost. Before you go, I want you to, get you and your team together, and please go in a team. It's a safety thing. And you protect yourself with all these things. But then you want to sit there and mentally put out into the universe, seriously, like a meditation. And I'm not one of those, new age, whatever, but you want to use your mind, your consciousness, your third eye. And you want to put out there saying, hi, we're going to come to this investigation to look for some kind of experience with you. We mean you no harm, nor do we want harm coming to us. But we just like to have some kind of acknowledgement of your presence. Can you please make that happen? We appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And you say that before you enter the place, before you go on the trip. And then when you're at the location, you do it quickly again. Again, we're here now. We're trying to have some kind of interaction with you without any harm. We don't want to be harmed. We don't want to scared. We don't want you coming home with us. You are, stay here, but can you let a presence known? And 9 out of 10 times when we've done that, and I've conducted it through I've walked 3 people through this type of meditation prior to an event. 9 out of 10 times we get results.
Cool. That's awesome.
One case, Al and I were doing, Pine Bush, New York? Pine Bush. It's in the town of Crawford. It's the East Coast paranormal UFO hotspot. Basically, that's the place. Whitley Strieber, who's the author, wrote Communion out of a home up there. So it's a lot of UFOs there. Now, you may not know Pine Bush because I'm sure you guys make that trip to the Para Unity conference.
Yes.
Yep. So with Chris and John, right?
Yes.
So, and it usually conflicted. And I've always told people, because I've been there as a guest at Para Unity. I love those guys, Chris and John, and love all that they do. And I volunteered myself this year. It's paranormal, but I could bridge UFOs and cryptids and ghosts all together. Up there, Al and I did 3-hour-long presentations throughout the day. There's a paranormal fair one day. Then we did 3 half-an-hour presentations and 3 15-minute presentations. And we promised later that night that we would do what they call a close encounter of the fifth kind. It's an active encounter, where you get there, you use your mind to kind of bring it in. I don't like calling it CE5 because too many people are trying to lay claim to it. And I don't need any legal problems with it.
Right.
But to be brutally honest, Al and I were so exhausted from being there at 5 o'clock in the morning and being there all day. We just didn't want anybody to show up. However, when we got back to this field, all in all, we had over 115, 120 people there. And we're talking about families, men, women, children. And I later found out the chief of police was there making sure that we didn't do anything crazy. We're in a big field. And we went through this whole protocol. And I said, I know it's been an exciting day, but now you got to clear your minds. And now you're going to say in your head, we just want to have an experience with you. We just would like to have an experience with you. It's a perfect sky. It's out of the city, so you're seeing the stars. We knew where the traffic was. The air traffic was in the distance, nowhere near where we were. Mm-hmm. And at one point, Al was recovering from an illness that he had. So he wasn't doing anything. And I'm sitting there and I hear this, I was going to say the hooting and hollering of what sounds like kids on a Saturday night in a really small town, where I'd be drinking at the baseball field. Okay. you know what I'm saying, right? Like there's nothing to do here. Everything's closed. Somebody get beer at the Pathmark and let's go to the field to get drunk. And right. I thought about it because it was just off to our left through some trees. There was an open field, but and I turned to Al and I was just about to say, do you hear that hooting and hollering? I've never used the term hooting and hollering before in my life. It's like youngster. I've never used that either. But just before I said it, this guy goes, does anybody hear the owl? So I said, yeah, I was just about to say it. And as soon as that happened, above our head appeared a massive object, a massive craft that was kind of like triangular. I seen triangular. It's like gunmetal, black. So it was black where if you looked long enough, you could see the distinction between that's blacker than the sky. Right. But if you just look quickly, you would totally miss it. Except in the center of this damn thing was a dome. Take a ping pong ball and make it the size of a house or bigger, and cut it in half and put it up on this black object.
Right.
And that
Devil's advocate. It wasn't like a stealth bomber, like the newest, just devil's advocate. I'm just saying,
For one thing, the stealth bomber makes noise even though it's that big.
Oh yeah, that's true. It does make noise. So you weren't hearing anything.
No, there was not a sound except for ooh, ah. People were just blown away by it. And Al was signaling it with a flashlight, and it was signaling back. And I said out loud, thank you for appearing. Can you go out to the mountains and then maybe just go back and forth and do some moves? And boom, in an instant, we saw this big light and shot out to where you can see the mountains in the distance, about 50 miles out. And it went from one mountain to the next mountain in under a second. It started doing right angle turns, like really fast, stop right angle turns. And the next thing you know, it stopped. Everybody was like, oh my God. We said, can you come back just one more time? And it came back.
Guess what I did?
You would have been running?
Running. Did you guys see Armageddon? I'm out.
Yeah, well. No, it was actually,
the day the earth stood still. Peace.
Yeah. Well, this thing wasn't, nothing opened up and a beam of blue light didn't come down to kill us, And thankfully, Jeff Goldblum wasn't there, his obnoxious, annoying self. And it was saying, oh, it's a countdown. So it wasn't a countdown.
Did anyone video this?
It's very interesting. This is where it sucks when you're a paranormal investigator. Okay? During the day of this entire affair, I got interviewed by a guy out of New York who represented German TV7. Because, German TV7, like I'm going to know what it is. But he was German TV7 reporter. And he interviewed us. I said, look, we're doing a CE5 tonight. Why don't you come over to the field? And the guy came over to the field. and he interviewed me on camera with the big, the big light and all that stuff, and I said, you're gonna, why don't you stay here? You got a camera, you can capture. He's like, no, we're out of here. He was done with the day.
Oh,
You know, that was enough freaks for him. So he left, and within 15 minutes of that, this event took place. So no, we didn't get a chance to videotape it, but like I said before, the chief of police of the town was there and witnessed it. And on top of that, the next day, Al got phone call from the town manager that does all the PR stuff from them and said, what the hell did you do over there? I'm getting phone call after phone call. Everybody's raving about it.
So other people saw it.
Everybody, yeah, people called in and said, oh my God, a craft appeared. And yet to this day, we never got, I think the reason why the newspaper wasn't called was because the chief of police was there, and he did not want to be put on the spot to have to report that, yeah, I saw, there was a craft there or something took place. Because if you have a town that's known for aliens and UFOs and all this other stuff, you don't want to get rid of your bread and butter, right?
True.
Right. So, but I've had people contact me privately going, I was there that night. I could not believe what happened. I was in awe. You guys doing it again. And we did it one more. Well, they allowed us to do, I did my own personal CE5 event there. About 65 people came. I actually brought my daughter, and this was during the first end of the COVID stuff. So,
why do you call it a CE5 event?
It's close encounters. That's what the CE of the fifth kind is.
Oh, yes, you said that earlier. I'm sorry.
So yeah, close encounter of the first kind is sighting, second, third, fourth.
And then the movie The Fourth Kind, which was an amazing movie.
It was a very good movie. I love that
movie.
Yeah. So we did an event about 2 years ago during when COVID first started. It was October. It was cold, but we went out to their field up there, and we had about 75 people. I brought my daughter, which she was like in awe of this whole thing. She's a skeptic too. She likes the horror stuff. So, it's, but she was great. She was just impressed with everybody. And you have to take these things seriously. You can't joke around. Otherwise, they're not going to waste their time with you. And it just so happened we were trying to do the conscious thing, and there was a woman there that was rather obnoxious. And later on, people complained to the town.
That happened to me one time on an investigation. I had some.
I'm really obnoxious, And we had these craft that would appear. 2 craft appeared both on our peripheral. So it's on the left and right side of where this field was. And the one craft that I was focused on more, my daughter took video of it on the I believe on one of my cameras. I was just pissed off at the end of the event, so I didn't look at it. But it was, you saw these 3 dots in the sky. It looked like a little triangle, and then they would get closer to each other. Then a 4th dot appeared. So it was like dot, 2 dots, and a dot. And what this thing was doing was it was going closer to each other and then expanding out, closer and expanding. And it was kind of hovering also just above the tree lines. And every time this woman would joke around, oh, come on, aliens, take me, it would go back down again. So, not having somebody there muscle to say, you know what, ma'am, you need to leave because you're ruining the event for everybody. I didn't do any of that, but there were craft there. It's just they're not going to waste their time with people don't care.
Yeah, that happened to me one time. I took people on an investigation. I didn't know one lady was drunk, and we were in Batstow. We were at Sion Cemetery and near Batstow Cemetery, and in the Pines. And she's screaming and hooting. I'm like, what is going on? And she's like, I got to go to the bathroom. Literally goes to the tree line. Now, mind you, we're at a cemetery.
Yeah.
Okay. And these graves are very old and mostly children. And here's this woman, like I told,
Yep.
I called the investigation. I said, "We're leaving." I said, "This is disrespectful." I was like, she's in the, she had to go to the bathroom, so she's squatting to pee on this, and she's like, "I'm over here, bitches," like yelling to her friends. And on my audio recorder, you hear a little kid say, "She scares me."
Yeah.
And I didn't hear it at the time. I heard it afterwards. But after she was screaming and hollering, and then somebody came up to me and was like, "I think she's drunk." I said, "That's it, we're out." I said, "I'm done. I'm not doing this. Like, this is insane." And I couldn't apologize enough to the
Right.
spirit energy there. I was like, "I am so sorry." And that taught me a lesson. You know what I mean? Like, that was a big huge thing. So
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing events like this and you guys are going out, you the brewskis and the peaches, no alcohol. Let me tell you something. It's well, until after the investigation. Let's put the caveat in there. Asterisk.
yeah,
Until
we
after
don't
the
drink. We don't
investigation.
drink when we investigate for sure.
Yeah, but you got to, you have to put things in there. Anybody that's being obnoxious or loud, you know, rude,
It was crazy.
you need to go. And it's no refunds. And I get it. People want to get out, they want to have fun. I get it. But this isn't one of those types of things. We're trying to do something serious here. And we did an investigation up in New York State, Al and I, in like in November, and it was kind of chilly and whatever. It was, if you ever heard of Letchworth Village?
Yes, I
Okay,
have.
so 28,000 square acres facility. I believe they finally got the tuberculosis vaccine from there because they experimented on children and people, and whoever didn't die was this is a candidate. So it was a place for unwanted human beings, be it bastard children, deformities, mental retardation, just bad people. They did, a lot of doctors there weren't nice, and they killed a lot of people. A lot of
Mhm.
people died there from the age of like literally 3 days old up to like 90 something. And they
Yeah.
just dumped their bodies in a massive grave. And we're doing this investigation there, just to, going off of yours. And and when I'm on a paranormal investigation like ghost hunting, I'm in, I'm in ghost mode. I'm
Right.
not thinking
Right.
UFOs, Bigfoot, Dogman or Lizard Boy or Bat Boy. None of that. I'm into EVPs. That's what I'm looking for. Some signs of.
Right.
And I have, from that investigation, I have opened up a little bit more to keep things open, and I did notice certain things that were not paranormal based, but it started getting so cold there, and Al started acting a little bit odd. He just had a look on his face that he may have been had tried someone tried to attach to him. And yes, as investigators, it happens to paranormal investigators all the time. That I knew it was cold. I had to go to the bathroom. We were there for hours. It was time to go. It was,
Right.
and I had to use the facilities, but I was not going to use it anywhere near those graves.
Right.
Out of respect of people that have passed away in general, but these people were basically experimented on or murdered or
Yeah.
whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, like, come on,
I
that's
mean,
just
yeah. It's
yeah,
just horrible.
you know. So
And I
yeah,
mean, and that is, I mean, for some reason, that's a cemetery that I'm drawn to. So I always go there very respectfully, and I brought people there, and I regret it. I said I'll never take anybody there that I don't know or don't trust ever again, because I have there's a pool there for me, and I don't know what that pool is, but I
right,
feel like whoever is there trusts me now, but
right,
I don't want to lose that. So I that was like one of the probably a bad experience that I've had, but um luckily I called it. And afterwards, when I was listening to the EVPs and I heard "She scares me," I was like, thank God I
yeah,
called. Thank God I called it and apologized and all this, because I didn't hear that at the time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it. Some people see it on TV. They think it's a joke. And this is where we get into problems. I mean, I happen to know somebody locally when I was in the Bronx before I moved down here. Nice, he's an interesting guy. He's like, oh, I'm going to get equipment. I'm going to go over to one of the cemeteries and doing my paranormal investigating. I said, do you know what you're doing? I don't need to do that. I'm just going to get the equipment. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to challenge him. And I'm like, that's a bad idea. That's a really bad idea. Your life is crappy to begin with. And I told him, frankly, I was able to tell him that. I said, your life is pretty crappy to begin with. Don't do that.
Right.
You know what? And then you get people like, well, then you come with me. I'm like, no, I don't want to be associated with an idiot. I told you, don't do it. It's not. Yes. That is Zach Baggins. Yep. Although in defense of him and the Ghost Adventures original group, when they came out, that was one of the first, if only, shows initially where I actually saw that brick move when they investigated that old ghost town.
Yeah, I mean, I see. I'm ghost hunters, right? So I grew up with.
No, I love ghost hunters.
And
yeah,
ghost hunters to me, I mean, they had, even though they didn't get stuff on every single episode, the stuff that they did get was awesome. Now, when Ghost Adventures first came out, they would get good evidence and they were hilarious. Like I was like, okay, but now it's just way over the top.
Well, here's the thing. I think what happened is they got too big for their britches, each one of them, and the ego took over. And let me tell you something. Between Zach and what's his name?
Aaron?
No, not Aaron. Jesus. Jeff, the other guy.
Is he a new one?
No, he's the original guy. I forgot his name.
Not Nick.
Nick.
Nick. I like Nick.
No, Nick's a great guy, but Nick has also gotten himself into an issue here and there because he started challenging. And what happens is, people, you dance with the devil, you're going to get dipped. And, you may have had a couple of good runs doing X, Y, and Z, but I know Nick has, he's had a couple of issues where he had to spend like a month plus away from his family and everything, getting cleansed by the church for the most part. These guys are great, but sometimes it's too big for their britches. One of my favorite persons out there investigating and having stuff is Zaphis. And Zaphis, he just stopped the show because there was too much BS starting to brew. And everybody's heads was getting bigger. And that's not what he wants.
Right.
And John is one of the greatest guys ever. He really is. He's a really wonderful human being. So, like I said, I told Al a couple times, I said, the only reason why I ever wanted my own show, there's two reasons. One, so I can investigate what the hell I want to investigate. But more importantly, I can have really good equipment that I wouldn't afford. Right. I'd like to be able to use the $60,000 FLIR camera drone for a Bigfoot investigation, and that's the only reason why. Yeah.
So listen to this. So I was live on TikTok, right. And I guess they figured that we had hateful behavior happening.
How did we have hateful behavior happening?
I don't know, but I disputed it because it says that
that's crazy.
You cannot go live as a host from 12/14/2022 something onward. I don't even know what that means. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's just, to me, I'm like, what? Yeah. It says live access suspended. I disagreed with it because I don't see where we were having hateful behavior.
There's nothing hateful in here.
No.
That's weird. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I'm used to, we're friends on Facebook. Everybody knows that that I'm usually in Facebook jail at least once a month.
Oh, I'm always in jail, but like there was nothing hateful. But because we don't, I said I wasn't a fan. I mean, like, did I even say I wasn't a fan of ghost hunters or ghost adventures? I just said
No, but there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's an opinion. There's nothing hateful or harmful
yeah,
in
I
that.
wasn't being hateful.
You know, so I don't know where that comes from,
Well,
whatsoever.
well, here's the thing: I disputed it. So like they
That's
just
weird.
yeah, this is weird. Anyway, go ahead. I'm listening. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. I'm just trying to figure out like why you know, whatever. North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project knows I get in trouble um, on a daily basis.
I do
But
too.
you know what? It's just dispute it, and they'll give you the right to put it back.
Yeah, I mean that's so stupid.
Right. I think it's
Anyway,
dumb,
I don't
but
know. Yeah.
I apologize if you know if it was something I said.
No, it wasn't. We didn't say anything.
Can we have a Chinese disclaimer, please, for the TikTok owners?
I know. I don't understand, what happened there, but I'll deal with that later.
That's
Um,
weird.
yeah.
Just
Anyway,
upload it. So yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I
So
mean,
yeah, we were just
go
talking
ahead.
about
Yeah.
the people. I mean, I actually love ghost hunters. I love them
Yeah.
tremendously. I think those guys are great, and what they did, they are at the forefront of this type of genre, you know. And Hawes and Grant Wilson, I don't know what's going on with those guys. I hope they're still buddies. But if it wasn't for those guys, none of this crap would be on. None of it.
Oh yeah.
And I know because I was talking to a couple people that were very connected into the Taps. They're in the Taps family, and we talked about evidence, and they have a ton of evidence. They actually have a ton of stuff that they've sent to the Vatican for
Right.
people to get exercise and what have you. But it is so intense. One, there's no way it was suitable for any type of television, you know. And two, there's something called confidentiality. There are people have lives that you're watching, and not everybody wants to be known as, oh, you're that freaky family that has the the goat ghost in your house, right?
Right.
You know, so it becomes really difficult for people to deal with. So they may have great evidence, but out of respect for the families, they're not going to put it on there. Also, I can tell you this because I've done shows. I've done Into the Unknown, Jersey Devil episode with Cliff Simon, and a bunch of UFO related projects. I was on season 2. Ooh, look at that Paranormal Hottie. That's a good. That's great.
I love it. He always
That's
comes on and
awesome.
he always goes on and gives me that. He always gives me a little bit of a smile.
Cool. There you go. You know, I've done what is it? UFO Witness. I've done movies with Hudson Valley UFO related stuff and movies and stuff. And I can tell you that I'll use the example of Alien Invasion Hudson Valley UFO on Discovery Plus, whatever the hell it is. So there's Al and I at a lake, and we're there with Mark D'Antonio that we both know, Ben Hansen and Melissa Title.
Ben
And
Hanson's awesome. He's
yeah,
brilliant.
Ben's a really nice guy. Melissa's freaking awesome too. I'm glad that she moved, from the Gaia stuff into this. She's really, did a great job. Now Mark is he's funny as anything, super bright. I mean, beyond intelligent. And I love when he gives lectures because it just goes right over everybody's head. And I sit in the back and I laugh because it's like all my, when I used to study physics and astronomy, and you get that girl or guy goes, I hope we're not going to talk about constellations. And I'm like, dude, there's calculations in this. This is like real math,
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I'm like, this is not looking at stars. I'm like, well, yeah, but there's a lot of math involved and physics. And then they all drop. But we're at this lake. And when I say we use tone, vibration, frequency, resonance, we do. So what we did was we started ramping up this lake. And we told them in advance of this, when you do this, we promise you, you're going to get results. You're going to see stuff you've never seen before. And started ramping it up with the sound. And right off the bat, Ben started seeing some of these weird, like, objects flying. And not orbs, but it's like they were coming from the sky, coming down, hanging through trees. And we used a phonetic generator at one point. Now, the original director of this production was named Hayden, great guy, Emmy winner. And he happened to be testing constantly positive for the virus. So they had to keep him at the hotel, even though he had no symptoms, right? You know, asymptomatic. So they brought in this other lady, this woman, to be the director. She's a really sweet person. And this is where it's going. As we're ramping it up, Mark's like, I don't know where this is coming from, where these lights come. And we said, this is what we're talking about, how we could bring them in. We have a phonetic generator. Now, you use Ovilus, right? Ovilus or well, some people use an Ovilus, and it has a built-in dictionary, about 65,000 words.
Yeah.
And the theory behind it is if these spirits have energy manipulated, they can use that to stay, like, you know, French fries or whatever.
Right.
Okay. The first word out of this phonetic generator, and it was the Ovilus 2 on my phone, and it was on airplane mode. The Wi-Fi was off and the Bluetooth was off. The first word out of it was Layla. Layla or whatever. Like, you know, Layla, you got me on my knees. Eric Clapton. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Our director screamed. She was unnerved because her name is Layla.
Oh.
Now, unfortunately, we were like, oh my God, like, Layla, they just sent your name. She just like, no, I'm not doing this. She bugged out. But we're doing certain things with Melissa, Ben, and Marker at one point, and you see these videos, and they can't explain it. And I said to them, "This is what we've been telling you about from the beginning. It's sound, resonance, frequency, vibration, and that's what it is. It's." You start doing these things outdoors, and you start learning the common thread. You could use, we love using Tibetan singing bowls. You can either use a physical bowl, or there's an app on your phone called Bowls, Bowls. It may be free on some, it may not be. It's worth every penny because there are about 12 different bowls, and it relates to 12 different chakras and frequencies and tones. Next time you go into the woods and your vibration, just go start vibrating on and using them, and send that energy out there. And that's a positive energy. And I guarantee you're going to get something back.
I'm definitely going to try that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like positive and happy and Casper, you know?
Yeah. Casper the Friendly Ghost, huh?
Yes, that's who I like. I like
Well, that's why when they were picking a new pope, Bishop Casper was listed and a nominee, and I wanted them to vote for him, so it would be Casper the Friendly Pope. But no one liked that, but I still would want him. I thought, what a great campaign for someone who grew up with Casper the Friendly Ghost. But yes.
All right, tell us.
Yes.
What you got coming up, where you be, and stuff you got going on.
So right now, I'm hopefully trying to be doing some conferences around the country.
Is something going to blow up in your house?
No, I apologize. I have a watch someplace I packed away. I can't find a damn thing.
You can't find it.
No, but it just stopped. I'm trying to do a couple conferences. I may be trying to do an AIE, like a close encounter here, and presentations here on UFOs. There's tons of UFO sightings going on right now in this era. Even my non-believing spouse, she's seen things that she's like, okay, what was that? You know, I'm going to be doing an investigation for the skunk ape or Florida Bigfoot. And I'm also doing a lot of investigating with different tones and frequencies, and working with trying to create or open up portals
Now, are you investigating by yourself, or are you with a team? Like, is it open for people to join you? Like,
Um, Initially, I'm doing a lot of this experimentation right now solo by myself within my home. When I do investigate Bigfoot and some of these other things, I am going with other people that have teams. I've been invited, and I'm more than happy to do it. I don't. I'm not going to go into the woods on my own because one, like I said, everything down here can kill you. I need somebody who's least knowledgeable of it. When we go up to New York State, though, I have gone into the woods. I'm not worried about New York, Connecticut, New Jersey as much. But I'll be doing some of those investigations, and I'm going to bring my old buddy Al Santoriga along. And yeah, he always, oh, I'm retired. I'm retired. Like, Al, you're not retired. Let's go. You know.
hey,
So
hey, you
yeah.
guys should go live and do stuff. Like, go live when you're doing stuff.
Well, we used to do a lot of live stuff. The problem we have is, and we post a lot of raw footage because we want you, each one of you over there, all the brewskis, all the peaches and brews. Um, we we want you also to do the investigating with us, and that's why we always present the raw stuff to everybody so that you can get involved. We really want, like, if we say it's X, Y, and Z, and you say no, you're wrong, it's this. One, we'll acknowledge it without questioning it. We're not fighting you. We'll look into it, and then we'll say yay or nay to it, and we'll thank you for it.
I
It's a
want
great way to
to do a
investigate.
CE5 thing.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to be planning on doing CE5, and I'll try to do one by the Jersey Shore this summer if you want. Yep. I like Matasquan, so it's one of my favorite spots if you want. I know you're maybe a little bit further there, but we could probably put together something for you, even if you're if you like, down where the Jersey Devil Zone is, we could put up something down there. I forgot
That's
where
where
there's a
I'm near. I'm near there.
right. So we can put it out there saying we're going to be doing one, and I'll drag Al down, like, and he'll be kicking and screaming like a baby at certain times, But I'll get him to come down, and we'll do a CE5 down there, and we'll have an active, intelligent encounter, and maybe you'll get to see your first UFO. But we always love inviting people, and one of the reasons why we stopped, we do still do research. We don't post everything, is because the current trend in this field, the whole entire paranormal community, is people are stealing your stuff and taking credit for it.
Really funny you should mention that. You're right. People are doing that.
And it really bothers me because I don't steal anybody's stuff. I'm stuck in damn woods smelling like, ASS. And you're going to take credit for my time in the woods, for me almost getting killed by a Bigfoot. What? No, don't do it. And there are people that are going to conferences taking credit for stories that, they're taking what I've stated before on some of these interviews, and they're passing it off as their own. And what people don't realize is I have a lot of friends in a lot of places, and a lot of them go to all these conferences. I know what's going on everywhere. And one person in particular who was from Jersey did that to me, and he messed with the wrong person, and I've called them out. And I have no beef with anybody else but that person. And that's why we don't put stuff up there. That's why Al doesn't put stuff up there. Yeah.
I wonder if I know that person.
I will maybe talk to you privately, but I'm not one of those guys that comes out and
oh yeah, I know. I'm just saying there's one that I know that I dealt with that just not a very honest person. So
nope. And you can tell when someone's giving you the BS. It's a gift. But if you grew up in like a city-based area, I mean, matter of fact, one of your peaches that's on there, who happens to have a connection to law enforcement, probably knows the BS, and like, yeah, you're full of it.
All right, my brothers are cops. My uncle's a sheriff. Like,
yep, my great uncle was a real sheriff out in Oklahoma, and I tried my hardest to get his badge and his 6-shooter.
Oh, cool.
Just to hang. I like firearms. I don't have any, but I would just love to have like an original Old West. That like cool. This is a real sheriff's outfit.
Yeah.
But
I have
yeah,
I have my dad's sergeant's badge. I do. He
that's good.
had a gold sergeant's badge. I mean, it's not old, but
Yep.
it will be.
No, but you should do what every police officer in my family has never done. They just play their number on the. They
I
usually
do.
play their
23
numbers.
is my favorite number. I have it at
Yeah,
23. Yeah.
23 is a good number.
Yeah. So, well,
That's where I'll be.
that's awesome. I want to do a
Thank you.
CM5. I want to try to experience something like that. I did do Bigfoot hunting one time. I mean, I don't think we didn't have like all the stuff. I don't know if there is equipment for it, but we did go looking. But and I did have two things unexplainable happen, but I can't say for sure it was a Bigfoot reason,
Right.
you know. But I would love to try to do that too. That's why I started
Sure.
open up to more than just ghosts. Like I want to have people on that do everything.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. I know there's a bunch of areas on the western portion of New Jersey. The Pine Barrens are great and all, but we'll get you out a little bit, not too far, and we'll have you investigate it if you want. Before we go, I'll drag Al down, and we'll go and we'll do an investigation on some areas that are known sighted areas, and bring whoever you want to bring whatever you want to bring. More power to you, just not an obnoxious person, and we'll do it. I mean, I think it'd be easier. Also, when you do a Bigfoot investigation, we like to vet people before we go. So we have a psychic that will do that to make sure you're okay to go, that you don't have any underlying issues that may cause a problem for everybody with the safety. Because some people do. Like I said, you're having a bad time, you're feeling bummed out and depressed. I don't want you anywhere near us. Or for your own safety, for the safety of your family, and for the safety of us. So we'll say, no, you can't come. But 9 out of 10 times, the Sasquatch love when the ladies come.
Yeah.
Like any true man does. It's just like, oh, women? Okay, let's go.
Yeah,
So,
I like it. I like it.
yeah.
You know what? I heard that. I heard
Yep.
that women attract the Bigfoots.
Yes, they do.
And which is ironic because mostly men are Bigfoot hunters. I don't know of
There's
I
a
don't know.
bunch of females,
Yeah, I'm
but
sure.
it has. I mean, they're not to get too into the graphics of it, but women have certain things that they do versus men. Men are just geeks and whatever, and there's certain monthly times that take place, and they can
Right.
just like any other animal out there smells that,
Right.
and it.
Right.
So that's the difference. Not that we use you as bait, but we tell you in advance that this is what's gonna, possible to happen. So they like that. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I did hear that. I also heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to,
Thank you.
Yeah. No, you were great. Thanks for coming on. And we definitely have to plan something. So make sure you get in touch with me.
Yeah, I definitely will. And, tell Ron Murphy when he comes on in like a week or so, or if you haven't had him on, I said hi.
I will.
You got it.
But yes, I loved having you on and
Thank you.
We could do something and bring you on again.
Awesome.
Yeah. After things get rolling in the new year.
That'd be great. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bryan. I appreciate
you.
it.
Okay.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.